Macedo. I'm 17 years old and I'm an uprising senior at Crawford High School. Currently, I'm working towards applying myself to colleges and universities. So whether that's the UCs or I'm thinking about the Ivies right now. So right now that's what my goal is, but my goal is also to be the first in my family to graduate in white because currently no one in my family has graduated in white. So right now my little cousins look up to me because they're like, "Oh, Camila did it," because they've been trying this for a long time, but they either dropped out or just didn't make the cut.
Do you feel like that's hard to kind of have that pressure or?
I know it's hard for a lot of people, but for me, I see it like as a fuel to be the one.
Yeah.
Like I want to be the one. Since coming from a first generation family, I want to be the first to the college, but I don't want to be the last. I want to inspire my younger cousins to also follow the same footsteps I am.
Yeah, I love that. Like used as motivation, not like a barrier.
Yeah.
I love that. What is your favorite activity to do right now outside of school?
Outside of school right now, I love doing origami. And it's just because I want to be maybe an engineer or robotics major. So I just love the way that it all comes together in the end. So recently I've been doing origami animals because I love the way how sometimes they move.
Oh.
So it's very interesting how you can make such a detailed object out of just what people see as just paper.
What's the hardest animal that you've made?
The hardest animal I've made is probably a dragon, and it took me around 2 hours.
Is that your favorite one that you've made?
Yeah, I made it for my math teacher as a thank you.
That's a good gift. How would your best friend describe you?
So my best friend, I've actually known her since 6th grade.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like she would describe me as very hardworking.
Oh.
Because she sees stuff in myself that I didn't see in myself at the time.
Yeah, I love that. We love a supportive best friend. So what is an accomplishment, personal project, or extracurricular activity that you're proud of working on?
So an accomplishment for the past 2 years, around November to December, me and my club in ROTC, we do a canned food drive to give back to the community or homeless banks.
Yeah.
Because we eat without thinking about it, but other families don't have that. Sometimes they'll come home thinking, are they gonna eat tonight, or their school is the main source they have. And while school's on holidays, you don't really have that. So for the past 2 years, I've helped lead a canned food drive where we posted videos to our school TV to advertise for it for students who were able to donate. And for the past 2 years, we've raised over 300 pounds of canned food.
That's so impressive. How long have you been doing that?
I've been leading it for 2 years, but we've done it for 3. The final one I'm doing for senior year is coming up in the beginning of November to the end of December.
Exciting! What tips would you give someone trying to do something similar?
I would tell them, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, because I feel like in my school we've had clubs that try to do this food drive, but they're just too scared to advertise it. If you could just put yourself out there in any way, rather than just trying to get word to it by posters around the school. Definitely reach out to other brands, companies. You can write a letter to them, or other elementaries around your area. Little kids definitely help.
I feel like these kids today, even little kids, they're a lot more cognizant than at least how I was when I was little. Okay, what does education mean to you?
Education isn't just about learning. I feel like it's also forming that social bond, because if you weren't in school, you wouldn't communicate with others most of the time. Some people are too scared to get outside their shell, but I feel like when you have a mix of diversity, you get you learn a lot from other people. And I wouldn't know as much from different cultures right now if I didn't go to one of the most diverse schools in San Diego. But it also helps people in the future. It runs our society, so if we didn't have engineers or statisticians, we wouldn't be where we are right now. So it definitely helps people in the future, and it helps the whole world run.
What's a topic, subject, or skill that you think should be taught in schools that's not?
I feel like basic first aid should be taught in high school, because in my school we've had an incident where a kid drowned and his friends couldn't really help him. So I feel like if we taught basic first aid, maybe swimming as a life skill, or how to do CPR. But I feel like we've had a lot of incidents in society where we're waiting for the medical professionals to come, which they do a lot, and thank goodness they're around. But I feel like if we knew some of the basic stuff, like CPR, you could help someone save their life right then and there, rather than waiting around if the ambulance might have been stuck in traffic because people didn't move in time.
I wish that schools just paid for someone to teach us, and we would all be a lot further in life, I think. Okay, tell me about someone who has left an impact on you and why.
My teacher from kindergarten.
Oh, wow.
Because I went in there not knowing any English. Because Spanish was my first language, since that's what my parents taught me, since they only knew Spanish. So once I got to school, I was bullied a bit for not knowing English. But my kindergarten teacher, she took the time aside to like teach me English on top of the English Learner Academy classes I would take, because she wanted me to like feel included, because kids like kind of excluded me. And she would also buy me materials when like we couldn't afford any. So she didn't have to do that, and teachers don't make enough to like do that for every kid. But she always like took the extra step.
I feel like that is why teachers become teachers, and sometimes that's lost on them just with the stress. But like, that's such a beautiful memory that you get to keep. Okay, what does your ideal life look like 5 to 10 years from now?
My ideal life in about 5 years would be graduated from my 4-year university, wherever that may be. But in 10 years, I see myself with a career that makes me happy, that I don't maybe regret. Because a lot of people, I feel, go to college in something they don't like, and then they end up regretting it for the rest of their lives. So I find myself like happy, whether or not it's like comfortably, doesn't really matter. Like, as long as I find myself like happy where I am in life, I feel like that would be enough.
Okay, is there a cause or social issue that you're passionate about, and why is it important to you?
Sexism that sometimes is still in the society. Because growing up as a kid, as a woman, you didn't really see the like inspiration like the guys had. You always saw like princess who always got saved by like a prince at the end. But I feel like in the movie like Mulan and Brave, they really inspired me like as a little girl, because they showed that they were the change. And you know, you shouldn't put up with sexism when it's around you. And I feel like we should be able to like move past from that at this point in society. But it'll always be there, but I just hope like whoever like faces it, like I'm able to help them, because I used to face it myself. So I feel like as long as we can like talk about it and not just brush it under the rug, then I feel like we could really improve as a society overall.
What advice would you give someone who wants to make a positive impact on their community?
I feel like do research on what your community needs. So whether it's just going around asking like what problems like do you face, or doing a survey like my school sometimes does, you could really help and make a change to your community. Because my community is lower income, so some families might not have something to eat, others may like struggle with bills. But if we come together as a community and collectively say, you know, we need this, we need food, we need clothes, I feel like after that you can definitely reach out to maybe past people who lived in your community. Because right now in City Heights, a lot of people that move out come back to make sure to give back to the community. They give back to where they started.
Never forget your roots. I think that's really important. Okay, what is a challenge that you've had to work through, and how has it shaped you to who you are today?
I feel like a challenge I've had to work through is being a first-generation student. So as a kid, you have to like mature faster, because you're translating important documents, or you're translating at the grocery store. And I feel like that challenge has really shaped me to who I am today, because most friends describe me as a really hard worker. And I feel like a lot of teachers see it too. Like every time they give me something besides an A, I like kind of get mad, because I know like I can do more. And I know like my parents and family is like counting on me as a first-generation student.
What do you think is something about you that will get left out of a standard application, like a written essay and whatnot?
I feel like in a written essay, they wouldn't know, like, every student, like, you can't put a face to who you are. They don't know, like, your upbringing. Sometimes they won't ask you about your roots, maybe why you are the person you are today. And sometimes they'll just ask you a question, like, how would you change the world? But I feel like it really comes down to your roots and why you are the person you are today. because if you don't talk about that, how are they going to know like who you are or why you want the scholarship to begin with? Because a lot of students a lot of the time don't have like time to talk about themselves because of the word count or the word limit.
GPA and things like that. Like, some kids are not super great with school, but like they are so smart. It's just like they can't get a grasp on that one specific topic, and then they should want a holistic view of the student and not just the numbers.
I feel like it's also unfair to students with mental disabilities.
Yeah.
And it's just unfair how some people only see numbers when they see a student. And I think it's really unfair that some Ivy Leagues are bringing back standardized test scores because some students face stuff like anxiety, which might mess up how they usually like behave in class.
Yeah.
And it's just unfair to lower income students on standardized testing
Yeah.
or maybe scholarships, because students with wealthier backgrounds have those resources to hire tutors, hire mentors. But low-income students, like, we have to apply ourselves to those programs and find those programs ourselves rather than being it, like, handed to us.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of the time I panic and don't say who I am. So that could definitely come off on a lot of students, like, facing anxiety or facing themselves. But I feel like recently I've really, like, come to love who I am and not, like, define myself by, like, scores or anything.
Hey YouTube, if you enjoyed this person's story, don't forget to subscribe below to hear more from our inspiring youth. If you want to apply for our Storyteller Scholarship or get more involved in our organization, click the link below to apply. Thanks for watching!